Right, so today we are going to fix broken cylinder head fins. Now, you're probably like me and thinking, what oaf did these in the first place? And I've got no idea how people break these, to be honest with you, using their brain. Because they must just get a crowbar or something. There's no reason to do it. So, but anyway, we are where we are. So let's have to fix these. Now, a lot of people will say that these are not weldable. You just buy and track down a new cylinder from somewhere. But I'll show you how I do it. Now, I've tried this method. I've not seen any other method like this on the internet, and it's one that I've devised with a friend of mine some years back, and it seems to work okay. So this is what I'm going to do. Right, first of all, of course, template your cuts. There we go, lay them all out. A bit like that. It looks like there's gaps. It's just the camera making it look like I haven't drawn around it properly, but I have. And then just press your finger down on this bit. So you can, and if you've got dirty fingers, it's brilliant because it leaves like a pencil mark where the ridge of the fin is underneath. So do that for the fins you want. I've got 2 of them. Look, I've got 3 per thing, which is a bit of a pain. Get yourself some. This is 3mm rolled steel sheet, so mild steel. I'm going to cut them out of that. So I'm going to weld mild steel to cast iron. And this is where you hear all the experts go, "Oh, you can't do it. It's not possible. It'll crack." Well, I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I've drawn them on, and you can see that I've laid them out in an order that enables me to go through with a slitting disc in straight lines and marked the cutting lines there, just to minimise the amount of cuts, because unless you've got the mother of all jigsaws, you're going to struggle to get around all these bends. So it's worth spending a few minutes just rearranging them to minimise the amount of cuts you have to make. Okay, so I've cut the first piece and shaped it roughly where we want, and you'll notice I put a chamfer on both sides just so some weld can go, and then I'll just put this over here to protect the cylinder slightly. First thing I'm going to do is put some neodymium magnets on there. It's important that you put them on each end and then line it up roughly where you want it. So the first step is going to be to heat the cylinder. Now we don't need to make it red hot, we just need to warm it basically, so you know, so you can touch it basically would be fine. So let's do that now. Heat it nice and evenly, and don't get the neodymium hot. Right, so I'm using a stainless steel wire, 0.8 stainless. I preheated the cylinder, and now this is the key point how this is going to work. So all these metallurgists out there with your PhDs, you'll know about carbon migration and all that kind of stuff in fluids. So we won't go into that. Now what I'm going to do is all this is going to be all about the stress. So I've preheated this, like I said, up to below operating temperature, but nearer, and that helps release some stress from the weld. And what I'm then going to do is only dab the middle. Now the key point to this is when you put a weld in the middle here, that you do not nip the outsides of it at all, and that allows the stresses to spread through it, and you'll hear it pinking and cracking and stuff like that. And then what we'll do is we'll work our way outwards, almost like massaging, a bit like you would a dough in the middle of a breadboard or something, just massaging the stress to the edges. We'll go from there. Right, so I've put 1 weld on it. Now this is where it gets painful, because you're just going to have to sit and wait for it to cool. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you're just going to have to wait for it to cool for a good few minutes and then do it again. Right, so I've waited a couple of minutes, right? So this time we're going to put 1 there and 1 either side. So we're going to do either side of the blob. And we're going to wait again. As you can imagine, this is going to take an awful long time, considering we've got 6 parts to weld as well. But this is the only way it's going to stay there. So the neodymium, the point of having that, obviously you could clamp it there, but don't clamp it. The point of this is that the neodymium allows it to creak and slide under its own tension as it's cooling. So again, once we've got a few bits on there, we can take those off because they don't like heat really. Right, so you saw I did it. Spot in the middle, and then spot either side, spot either side, spot either side, and keep working your way out. Right, so we're all welded up. You're going to say, oh, they're not the tidiest welds in the world, but they're not supposed to be. All we want is a blob in the middle and then either side. Now remember, just tell you once more, preheat it. Not too hot, just enough so you can hold it or touch it comfortably. And then the two magnets either side to allow it to slide around. Blob in the middle, let the weld cool. Either side, let it well cool. And keep going on like that. Preheat, keep the heat up. So I apply a bit of heat in the middle of the rest of the cylinder during the process. And then I keep working my way along. And here's a diagram of how it should look, the blobs. There you go. And once you've done that, it shouldn't crack. Because well, there's a lot of factors, we won't go into those, but to do with carbon and stresses and all that kind of thing, but it shouldn't crack. I mean, there's obviously a chance you might get a failure at some point if it gets particularly hot in traffic, or it gets cold, or it gets water splashed on it or something like that. There's a number of reasons why it could fail, but this is the only method I've found that gives you a sporting chance of those fins staying on there. Use the TIG welder, which is obviously the most common welder that people have. And remember to use the stainless steel wire. Now I'm just going to give them a lick of black paint, and then you'll see that they'll blend in fine, so we'll go from there. They were all painted. Unfortunately they're in gloss rather than matte or satin, which I'd have liked, but I couldn't find any. Well, I did have some, but it dried out. So you can see the repaired fins if you look carefully. Now can you see them? So that one, and that one. So certainly they look 100 times better, and they like I said a minute ago, they should be okay. There we go. Right, that's it for that.